So far, we have three names linked with the Saints in the offensive coordinator position. So we're going to go over who those three names are, what their experience is, and which one of them I would pick if I was doing the interviewing. So far, Dan Pitcher, Zac Robinson, and Shane Waldron are the three OCs that we'll talk about in this video, presented to you by New Orleans Football. Of course, they are covering this very, very in detail. We're going to react to two of their videos. We're going to combine two videos to talk about all three. Let's get right into it.
Saints are starting to get active in their quest to find an offensive coordinator to replace Pete Carmichael Jr. I'm Nick Underhill, and you're watching The Doc, presented by Matt Bowers Auto Group. New Orleans has started to put in requests for coaches that are not in the playoffs, and the first one to go out is for Bengals quarterback coach Dan Pitcher. Now, that's an
before they actually started to name who they were interested in, we gave a template of what I wanted in the next OC. Young, innovative, understands the new style of offense in the NFL. I don't want a retread. I don't want someone who's coming in here trying to bring a 2004 offense. I don't want someone who's, old school, run first, let's try and establish the run, all that stuff. We want someone who is of the trees, of the Shanahan trees, the McVay trees. We want to replicate what they're doing and with the Rams, the Niners, the Bengals, teams like that. Well, good news. That's exactly what these candidates are. These candidates so far, 37 years old, 44 years old. Two of them are directly from the Shanahan-McVay tree, and Pitcher is kind of from that tree because he's from the Zac Taylor arm of the tree. Zac Taylor was under McVay, and McVay is, and when I say Shanahan tree, just so everyone knows what I'm talking about, it's not Kyle Shanahan, it's Mike Shanahan. So Mike Shanahan, his tree basically splits from Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. And then it trickles down from there. We've seen coaches like Matt LaFleur. We've seen coaches like Sean McVay, obviously. We've seen coaches like Zac Taylor. All those coaches are from this Mike Shanahan tree. So that's good news for us. So far, I love it. And we will get into each candidate and kind of specifically. But just overall, I think we're looking in the right direction. Overall, the theme is right. Passing game coordinators. We've got guys in here with game management specialist experience. We've got guys who have coached the quarterback position mostly. We've got some guys who, actually have OC experience with offenses that we would like to replicate. So good stuff so far as the names being thrown out there.
An interesting name because he has ties to the Sean McVay coaching tree, and that is a system that the Saints have liked and coveted for a long time. Before Carmichael came back on Allen's initial staff, they were interviewing people with ties to McVay, so getting Pitcher or somebody like him from that tree would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, so let's talk about Pitcher. So Pitcher, 37 years old, been with the Bengals basically his entire time. Pitcher does have experience with the Colts as a scout. So I kind of like that because with a scout and with a OC, you want to be able to eval players. You want to be good at player evaluations and be able – that's what makes McVay so good, is that he can take a Puka Nacua. He can find Puka Nacua and figure out exactly how to get the most out of him in his system. It's not just he's being handed players. He's actually knows what he was looking for with the players. What I also like about Pitcher is that he has game management specialist experience. We've talked about it before where Pete Carmichael and Dennis Allen both really struggle with game management, the analytics, the game script, adjusting, things like that. Not only can Pitcher do that, but Pitcher was that guy for the Bengals. He was the guy who was focused on game management, in-game management, those specific situations. So Pitcher probably has the least amount of experience as far as an actual OC. He out of him, Robinson, and Waldron. And I have some notes down here to make sure I don't mix up the bullet points for all three of these guys. Pitcher probably has the least amount of experience, but it's all kind of the same. I do like what Pitcher has going on. Again, 37 years old, from the Bengals system. We all know how their offense rolls. I think everyone here would agree the Bengals offense is pretty sweet. Now, a lot of that is to do with Joe Burrow, but just schematically how they operate. I think everyone here would like to see something like that, pushing the ball downfield, explosive plays, pass-heavy offense. Out of the three choices, he's probably my third, but is not too far away.
Pitcher has coached quarterbacks in Cincinnati for the last few years. He came up as a scout with the Colts, so he has a scouting background as well, which could help with just developing personnel. There'll be other names to come out, so keep an eye on them. But the first one in their quest is Dan Pitcher.
Yeah, good stuff so far. I mean, that's we're 1 for 1 in good names. It's one. This is what I want. Like, I don't want, when I said I'm not really feeling the John Gruden stuff, this is why. You know, I don't want a retread. I want someone with new ideas who is proving themselves, not who has proven themselves, who is proving themselves with this hire or whoever we get, and who kind of wants to evolve and he wants to learn and grow. And these are the kind of guys who, if they do succeed, you would be happy handing them over the head coaching position. And all of a sudden, I mean, let's say you give 1 year, 2 years to each of these guys as an OC before making that move. You get, all of a sudden, you have a 39-year-old head coach, a 39-year-old head coach, or a 46-year-old head coach. Perfect. That would be nice. So I like the first one. Let's move on to the next two.
If their early interview requests are any indication, the Saints definitely know what they want in their next offensive coordinator. I'm Nick Underhill, and you're watching The Dot, presented by...
Yeah, it's important too. You know, the three candidates so far they're basically the exact same person. Some just a few differences between the three, but really they're all the same. I love it. Like, it's kind of funny because all year long we've said we need an identity. The Saints need an identity. We need to know who we are. We need to know what we're going to do. And it looks like we know exactly the identity we want. Mickey Loomis, or whoever is leading this, I would assume Loomis, he wants to be part of that McVay tree. He wants our offense to look like that. And it's crazy because everyone has been screaming that. Everyone's been saying we need to be, you know, more advanced in what we're doing. We need to be more creative. We need to have more pre-snap motion. We need to get the ball to our playmakers better. We need to do all these things. All year long, we're sitting there like, why are we running this Stone Age offense? And then immediately, Loomis fires Carmichael, agrees that the Stone Age offense is not the move, and then says, hey, guys, I have a crazy idea. How about we go for the McVay tree? Say, Mickey, we've been saying that for 18 weeks. Why did it take this long? But at least he's doing it. At least we do have a style that we're going after.
Matt Bauer's Auto Group. The Saints earlier today requested to interview Bengals quarterback coach Dan Pitcher, and they've since followed that up with requests to talk to Seattle offensive coordinator Shane Waldron and Rams pass game coordinator / quarterback coach Zac Robinson. What's the commonality between all these guys? They all got ties to the Sean McVay coaching tree. Waldron came up with the Rams as a quarterback coach / pass game coordinator.
So another thing that is, I think, is important when it comes to these ideas, this innovation, all this other stuff, is who are you around? You know, like, what coaches are you around? When you look at the McVays and the Kyle Shanahans, their assistant coaches are like Matt LaFleur, Zach Taylor, Brian Schottenheimer, just like all these random people. And then you're thinking, man, I imagine the room where it's Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Zach Taylor, Matt LaFleur, and they're all talking offense. Like, the ideas that are getting bounced around, that alone is worth it, like being around those guys. So let's look at Waldron. Waldron replaced Matt LaFleur. Then he replaced Zach Taylor. So Waldron has deep experience with Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, and Zach Taylor. That is some serious offensive power, some serious offensive creativity. Waldron, he's 44, so he's the oldest, but he also has the most experience because he's the oldest. He won 2 Super Bowls with New England, but he was pretty young. I think he was in a graduate assistant kind of position at the time. A quality control kind of coach. So I'm not sure how much we can really give that. But he does have OC experience with Seattle. So he leaves the Rams to go to Seattle at the request of Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson requested Waldron because of Waldron's experience with McVay's offense, and he liked what he knew. So huge boost for Waldron. Waldron does have the actual play calling OC experience. So Robinson and Pitcher don't have that. They neither one of them have been OCs. Robinson, so he's got the McVay tree, Shanahan tree. He replaced Zach Taylor as far as the Rams hierarchy goes. And he also has experience. Obviously, when the Rams won the Super Bowl, Zac Robinson was on the staff, so he's got that winning experience. He's got that Super Bowl experience. He's got he was right in it. He was right in the thick of it. He wasn't the OC or anything like that, but he's right in the thick of it, much more than Waldron was when Waldron won the 2 with New England.
And Robinson is currently in that role, and pitcher coaches in the Bengals underneath Zach Taylor, who once worked for, guess who, Sean McVay. So the ties all come back to the same place. And this is kind of interesting because, as I mentioned before on the last video, before Pete Carmichael recommitted to the Saints, New Orleans made a strong pitch to get Liam Cohen, who once served as Sean McVay's offensive coordinator. He went back to Kentucky after taking that job. So there has been a long lineage of want from that coaching tree, and it seems like everything's leading back to that right now. So we're going to see how all this stuff comes together. We're going to break all this down a lot more on tonight.
If I had to pick right now, if I had to rank them, and it's hard to do because you're not actually interviewing the people, so you have no idea their personalities, you have no idea any of that stuff. I would probably go Waldron first, and then I would go Robinson, and then I would go pitcher. The reason I would go Waldron first is because I feel like he's the most ready now. He's the most ready to step in, implement his ideas, have a vision, and be at the closer to like the fully realized version of himself. I think Robinson, I like what he's got going on, but he's probably a little bit more of a wait and see kind of thing. It's probably more of a give him a little bit to figure out how to be an OC, give him a little bit to figure out how to implant his ideas. You know, he has not had to do that yet. Waldron has. Waldron went to Seattle and they told him, you know, you're going to have to bring that foundation of the McVay stuff, but you're going to have to implement it with your own idea and your own vision. That's what we want. That is exactly what we want. We want someone to take the McVay tree, take the McVay foundation, bring it to New Orleans with their own vision, their own ideals, their own culture and all that stuff. And Waldron is that. Waldron has experience with some serious play callers. You know, just the fact that, like I said, he was in the room with McVay, LaFleur, Zach Taylor. Love that. He's got 7 more years of experience than pitcher and Robinson. And another point that I talked about, I think in yesterday's video or a couple days ago, was this guy has to be ready to be the head coach. We have to assume that if Dennis Allen gets got after this year or middle of this year or whatever, there's a good chance that this OC probably could have that position. If Waldron comes in and the offense is better and the offense is successful, and we give Allen this year or whatever, this year, 2 years, however it works out, Waldron seems like he's pretty close to being ready for that head coach nod. He's pretty ready to step in and do that. That would be a big ask, I think, for Robinson or pitcher to go from never being an OC, never calling plays, to having to do that in a new place and then also be the head coach, right? So I would lean Waldron right now. Hopefully we get more information as the interview process comes out of what their personality's like or who they are, or hopefully we even get some interviews, like just get some media clips we can see. Because these guys, it's hard when you're like quarterback coaches and specialists or whatever. You don't ever see them. You don't see how they operate. Like offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, you see them a lot. You see them almost as much as the head coach. So it's kind of difficult to get an idea, like a finger on the pulse of who they are as a person. But 3 great names. I mean, 3 great names. We're in the right direction. We're directionally fixing problems. We're directionally solving a stale offense, a non-creative offense. We're trying to get a little bit closer to what the rest of the NFL is doing. We're trying to get a little bit closer to the successful offenses. I mean, this tree, like I said, this tree is producing Seahawks offense, the Packers offense, the Bengals offense, the Rams offense. Like all those offenses are good. Matt LaFleur is an offshoot of this tree. Matt LaFleur was a hire very similar to what we're doing with these guys. He was kind of in the same vein, and you see what he's doing with Jordan Love and the Packers offense. So, replicating those offense and that style and stuff is exactly what we need, exactly what I'm looking for. Very happy to see this. So, go down in the comments below. What do y'all think? Are y'all happy with the names? This is the first time you're hearing the names. Is there anyone else that you'd like to kind of toss in there? This is great, though. This is fantastic. I saw a lot of people in the comments saying like, well, if Mike McCarthy gets fired, what about him? Oh, well, if John Gruden gets, what about John Gruden? Oh, well, Art Smith, what about him? Like that's not what you want. You don't want retread guys who have failed, who got fired, who are, were bottom of the barrel in their respective categories. Art Smith had the worst offensive play calling rankings when we were looking at the analytics. You don't want that. You want to be the person who finds the next Matt LaFleur, who finds the next Sean McVay, who finds the next Kyle Shanahan. You want to be that person. You want to be on the forefront of going and grabbing those people. Go find the next Ben Johnson. Go find the next Bobby Slowick. So I think these guys could do that. Are all three of them going to be Bill Walsh Juniors? No, but this is the chance we need to take. We need to take a chance on Shane Waldron, Zac Robinson, Dan Pitcher. So again, I would go Waldron 1, Robinson 2, Pitcher 3. Let me know in the comments below what you do. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.